Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now it is a very cool spring morning here in my garden, but I'm bringing you this video today. I was intending to release this video as part of a large Q&A series of videos, but I've decided to break them up into individual days so you've got something to look forward to each day. Now today's video is all around the merits or not of the skinny tie, following a question which I had just recently. So watch it to the end, let me know what you think about the skinny tie. Okay, now my next question comes from Siobhan Slavenberg. I am sorry if I've massacred your name there, sir, but I know you're a gentleman from, I believe it's Denmark, so apologies, but your question is an extremely relevant one. And it relates to, well, I'll just read it out. Recently, a trend towards narrow ties has emerged in the Netherlands, especially among well-dressed newsreaders and so on. My question is, are there any basic rules about the width of the tie in combination with the lapels? Does a narrow tie look better with a narrow lapel on the jacket? Good question, short answer, almost certainly yes. But let's break it down a little bit more. Because, let's be honest, in the ever-evolving landscape of men's fashion, there is one constant which allows us to elevate our look amongst those around us, and it is the tie. And the tie goes through an evolutionary process, get the words out, as it's gone on its life. Sometimes it's been wide, sometimes it's been narrow, sometimes it's somewhere in the middle. Where do I think it should sit? Now, I did do a bit of research, and I believe the person you're talking about, the newsreader, is a chap called Winfried Bijgens. Sorry again, not very good with the old Netherlands language. And he is often spotted, when I've looked him up, wearing quite narrow ties, often woven ties, knitted ties. And yeah, I don't particularly think it falls out with his appearance. However, there are some things I believe you really do have to be conscious of when you think about the tie width that you're pairing with your outfit. Rather than enhancing your ensemble, you don't want to make yourself look a little bit left of centre in the way that you dress. First thing, probably the most important one, is body type, all right? Now, when I look at Winfried, he is a lean fellow, probably in his, I would say, early to mid-30s, and he looks rather tall. So I've only ever seen him sitting down, but I'm getting that assumption from the proportions of his body. For me, the slim tie works well in the outfits that I have seen him wearing, because he is a tall, lean gentleman. Now, if he were to be a much larger, rotund gentleman of bigger proportions, that small little skinny tie, as people often refer to them, is going to look out of proportion, and it is going to draw emphasis to the fact that he is a large person, because that tiny slither of material looks just, as I say, out of proportion with the rest of his other items. So it's not going to work. As a bigger person, I would suggest, a medium, at least to wider tie. Typical blade lengths of tie would be wider, I would say 4 inches, something like that. Going down to maybe 2 inches on a skinny tie. You can go bigger, you can go smaller. Depends on what brand of tie, what you can stipulate. A good rough average for me is about 3.5 inches. But, if you're a heftier man, you want to go for a wider tie because it's more proportionally appropriate for you. You mentioned matching tie width, excuse me, with lapel width. I got to agree with that. If you're wearing quite a modern cut suit, which has very skinny lapels, firstly, don't buy suits like that. They tend to be fleeting in a fashion sense. Go for the more traditional. But if you do find yourself wearing a suit with a very skinny lapel, a skinny tie is going to be a natural fit for it. So that would be something that I would do. The balance is more appropriate between the lapel and a thinner tie. Actually, it's going to be the only thing you would want to wear with a thin lapel suit, in my opinion, because otherwise the proportions are askew again, and that's something that we don't want. And what I would say is the versatility and flexibility of the skinny tie is something you want to think about too. Where do you intend to wear this item? Because if you're wearing a skinny tie, by natural definition, it leans towards casual, in my opinion. It's a tie which you can only wear in maybe the less formal of formal situations. A modern day newsreader wearing a skinny tie, you can get away with it. But, you know, if you're in the boardroom, if you're going to a funeral, if you're going to a wedding, maybe it's not necessarily a natural fit. And also they do tend to be, skinny ties tend to be one colour, because there's so little material present that it doesn't sit well with patterns. It doesn't sit well with stripes, because there's such a small aspect of material available to make the impression. So they do tend to be all one block colour. All of my skinny ties tend to be woven, and they do tend to be all one colour. So those are just my thoughts in answer to your question. If you're a tall, lean person who wears quite modern suits with thin lapels, and you tend to, in your life, lean more into the casual wear of dressing, skinny ties will be fine. If you're a heavier set person who likes more formal dressing, probably go for the more traditional. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more like this, click the old subscribe button and come on the journey towards Chap Nirvana with me. If you'd like to practically support the channel, you can either buy me a coffee, which is a one-off thing, or you can become a patron. And that way you will benefit from an additional video per week, which I make specially for my patrons. And of course, we also have an ongoing intimate conversation over on the Patreon platform, which incidentally you can join without any financial cost at all. I will leave the link to that in the show notes below. So until the next time, take care, and I will see you again very soon.